This is the second part to Chapter 7, Section 1. We covered ionic nomenclature last week, and now we're going to finish up with molecular nomenclature. Ionic nomenclature was by far, once you learn how to do this part today, ionic nomenclature, there are lots more rules and more things you have to think about to come up with proper formulas and names. With molecular compounds, those are ones that are covalently bonded. So that's going to be between two nonmetals or a nonmetal and a metalloid. We're going to use what's called the prefix system, and we are only going to look at binary compounds. That means compounds that have how many elements? Two elements, and that's it. Your less electronegative atom always comes first. Again, if you're working with two nonmetals normally form what type of ion? Nonmetals form what type of ion? Nonmetals normally form what type of ion? Anions or cations? Anions. So when we did ionic compounds, you'd need a cation and an anion. Well, this time you might be working with nonmetals that typically form anions. So that's why they're telling you the less electronegative atom comes first. And we add prefixes to indicate number of atoms. That's your subscripts. If your first element only has one atom, you drop the mono prefix. And the ending is always IDE on the second element. Since they are all binary compounds, the ending is always IDE for the second element. And it's showing you your electronegativities again if you had to know what they are. But your formulas are always going to be given to you with your less electronegative atom first, or even if a name is given to you, the less electronegative atom is going to be given first. Which group on the periodic table has the highest electronegativity values? Group 17. So typically if you have a halogen in the midst, it's going to be there at the very end. There's the 10 prefixes you have to memorize. Okay, mono is 1, di 2, tri 3, tetra, penta, hexa, hepta, octa, nona, and deca. Now, if you remember some other prefixes that mean the same thing and try to use them, it'll be counted wrong. Give me another prefix that means 2.
Dos.
Dos is Spanish, but bi. Okay, bi or by means 2. Give me another prefix that means 3.
Tray.
Or tri is already up there. Trio. Okay? So, and then I'm sure that you could probably think of maybe one or two others as you go on down the line. Most of them I think are pretty self-explanatory. For mono, if you put uno or uni, uni, which is another thing that means one, it will not be accepted. So you've got to use the prefixes that are designated for molecular nomenclature. I mean, this is really easy. That is it as far as covering what do you do for molecular compounds. When we did ionic compounds, it lasted for several slides and lots of things that you had to think of. And not only that, you had all of those ions that you had to memorize to be able to then go in and apply the rules that I gave you. So here we're given the formulas and we've got to come up with the names. Notice that all of these examples only have 2 elements. What's the ending for every element? IDE. So starting off, what's my first element in the first one? Carbon. And what's my second element? Chloride. Now we've got to think about prefixes. Okay? Prefixes go in the beginning. Should I put a prefix with carbon? No. Okay, there is only one, but it's not monocarbon. You always drop the mono prefix on your first element, even if there's just one. What's the prefix that goes with chloride? Tetra. Okay, so it's tetrachloride, carbon tetrachloride. For the next one, what's the name for N? Nitrogen. And what's the name for O? Oxide. Okay. What prefix goes with nitrogen?
Di.
And what prefix goes with oxide?
Known.
Mono. Okay? So I would not put two O's together. It's not monooxide, it's monoxide. So and a lot of these prefixes have a vowel at the end. So if you're putting it with an element that starts with a vowel, you're probably going to want to drop the vowel at the end of the prefix. I'm not going to count off if you put it. If you put monooxide, I would not count off for that. Just say it in your head. If it doesn't sound right, then don't put that extra vowel. And then for the last one, what's the name of S?
Sulfur.
Sulfur. And what's the name of F?
Fluoride.
Fluoride. So again, all of these ended with IDE. And what prefix goes with sulfur?
None.
None. What goes with fluoride?
Hexa.
Hexa. So I would want to put my A there.
How come mono went with the oxygen, but it didn't go with the sulfur or the carbon?
The rule back a couple slides was only put mono on the second element if needed.
Okay.
If it's just one atom of the first element, you drop the mono. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Okay. Arsenic trichloride. These are some symbols that you should have memorized. If you're looking at just a regular periodic table, maybe you can get it with that too. What is the symbol for arsenic?
AS.
A lot of people miss that. Okay, it is AS. What's its prefix?
It doesn't have one.
It doesn't. So it's understood one. And then chloride, what's its symbol?
CL.
And what is its prefix? It's a 3. Trichloride.
Yes, Mama.
For the next one, what's the symbol for nitrogen? N. And how many do we have?
2.
2. What's the symbol for oxide?
O.
And how many do we have?
5.
5. Notice they dropped the A. It's not pentaoxide, it's just pentoxide.
You can't put two vowels together, basically.
Most of the time, it's not going to be right.
Well, that was an A.
Okay? And for the last one, what's the symbol for phosphorus?
P.
And what is its?
4.
Okay, its subscript is 4. What's the symbol for oxide?
O.
And how many do we have? 10. Okay, so decoxide, they dropped the A. Easy enough, right?
Yep.
Told you this one would be much, much, much easier. It's you memorize your 10 prefixes. Ending is always odd. Drop mono on the first element.
Simple.
Okay, that's it.
Not counting.
Okay, now if I'm looking at the last slide, it's showing you your diatomic elements. I've told you repeatedly you've got to know your 7 diatomic elements. And I know I've said this before, but what is the name of Br2? That's in its diatomic state. You do have 2 atoms bonded together. What's the name of Br2?
Bromine?
Dibromide.
I think I finally heard it. It's just bromine. It's the name of the element. So what's the name of O2? It's oxygen. So even though it's considered a molecular compound because it's 2 nonmetals bonded together, it does not use the prefix system. You don't add I to the end. It is the name of the element.
So you don't change the names for the 7 diatomic elements?
No.
No.
Nope.